Why don't you get us started? Orientation is not. Good, shall we go?
Yeah, you can start.
All right, thank you so much, Sabina. Can you guys hear us? Great. We're going to attempt to do a little live stream here, so hopefully we can kind of get that going. But my name is Chris Kennedy, and I'm from the Environmental Performance Agency. We're here today to present a field report on some of our recent research.
It's really excited to see so many different type of species in here. And with that, I'm Andrea Hanke, an EPA agent, but I also would like to say we have another EPA agent in the house, which is Ali Irons over there, which you later will hear speaking in her behalf of her project. With that, in this field report we present today, we also bring a real-time interaction. It's interesting, it's upside down, but we actually bring our Mugwort Weedy ecosystem here, which is a collection of wild urban plants from New York City. We deliver this report through verbal and as well non-verbal gestures.
Now, this EPA field report is based on our experience with New York City's rural and marginal landscapes. Things like sidewalk cracks, tree pits, highway medians, dumps, and weedy living lots. In the context of these spaces, we share our idea of what we're calling the emergent plantocene, a space for acknowledging the vegetal, the other, the marginal of the marginal.
The emergent plantocene allows us to embrace new ways of noticing, thinking, and making. A physical space for us to reconfigure our relations with the earth and its inhabitants. What would it mean to seek wisdom from the teachings from spontaneous urban plants?
To allow for new forms of physical contact and chemical sensing.
So through our nose, mouth, tongue, hair, skin, and whatever else you maybe think that you have right now with and in your body. And so what this means to interact with it and understand and act open the world with it.
And what if in this, we can acknowledge that humans and non-humans are inextricably linked, and that we reach to a humanity that is rooted in the humus of the ruderal.
We consider this in the context of the Anthropocene, which many artists and scholars have begun to critique. In thinking of this proposed new epoch, scholars like Donna Haraway explains.
She says, we have a mammalian job to do with our biotic and abiotic collaborators and co-laborers. We need to make kin. Who and whatever we are, we need to make with, become with, compose with the earth bound. Figure 1, tongue biography. On April 30th, 2018, we unearthed this 1 square foot of a weedy ecosystem from an abandoned site near the EPA's former headquarters at 1067 Pacific Street in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. The site was used for over 25 years as a truck repair shop and also as a legal dumping site. This ecosystem was transported into the black garbage bag you see here, and for the most part, it's self-maintained beyond occasional watering. And it was initially indoors for a few weeks and then placed out on the balcony.
What you just observed was an interaction resensing the plant's biographical history by tracing the leaves with my tongue. This This is one of many types of embodied fieldwork practices that we use at the EPA in working with feral landscapes. These practices are essential to make our case for the emergent plantain.
Now, our colleague Mugwort is here to speak with us as well. And so throughout this session, we ask that whenever Mugwort speaks, you close your eyes. So right now, I want to just invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and listen.
Below the light, the action takes place. In the act is a reaction in darkness. Today a darkness of wetness, yesterday a darkness of dryness. In the wet I wiggle my roots, side, front, behind. Into the dark is an interaction, never knowing ahead the moment. You, yes you, make full use of my darkness. Oh, no time given for my press. Push, rub, glide, glitch. In the act, I act quickly in this porous, oily, dark matter. A minute in darkness is not a minute that follows. What? What is that? Alert! Warning! Listen in the action, taking an action. Act, grow. Can you see it? I move inside my sensorial thought space. The root system acts on the slippery surface. Entangled, around, inside. I lick your sugar. One more time around your slippery surface. The roots moving along. You in the action of composing of years to come. Your chemical properties I take in, as lovers do. In darkness we stay. In human fleshy hands we leave the dark. What I'm supposed to do. Pressure sensed. Root canal failure. Your hand becomes a violent wind. Our existence hangs in the air, tangling. Out of the soil sensation you become heavy. I hold you. Your hands put us on the concrete surface. Life continues on the hot ground. My pulsating existence is a ticking time bomb around the Coca-Cola can.
Wow, thanks, Mugwort. I invite you to open your eyes. At the EPA, we often find mugwort's roots are entangled with bits of metal and plastic, and they're actually making use of a lot of post-industrial architectures and infrastructure found around the city. In the context of the so-called Anthropocene, we acknowledge that mugwort is already reacting to a newly introduced human layer, adapting, thriving, and decomposing the material of human disturbance.
Observations like this gives us an indication of the emergent Plantocene. The emergence of the ruderal in the face of substantial human impact on the earth. But to see this requires a new way of looking, of acting, and being with sites we often label as vacant, invasive, alien, or even dangerous.
Educator and scholar Anna Singh urges us to consider new ways of noticing as well. She talks about this as a kind of attunement, a way of making our body and the body of roots and the roots of fungi align for just a little bit. She says, while many scholars are interested in the consciousness and communication of other organisms, I think there's something more that we can do to bring ourselves into the worlds of other species. We can begin to experience what their social life and livelihood is all about.
For instance, what if we encounter this 3D ecosystem in a new way? What if I form a new layer in a very subtle way?
Figure 2. noticed a delicacy to this, a tenderness and softness, and it seemed like you were feeling the plants and feeling the resistance. At the EPA, we look to the margins, the spaces of contamination, because in these places, the plants make their own choices. The agency is real, and there's so much we can learn. These entanglements give us evidence of adaptation, survival strategies, a way of confronting our current ecological crisis.
In the process of being with ecosystems like this, the plants become something new. These plants can hybridize and create themselves in different ways. Let's look at this island. Besides mugwort, which is actually here, right? You see here around the sweet wormwood. It smells really good. If after this talk, I would say, come here and really smell it. And they both actually are really tall here with very little soil, but it's toxic soil. So with that, achieving this great height in this full of toxic soil, I was thinking what this even means. So when I visit the site again, since remember you guys, this was taken in April, the soil. I visit the site in the summer, and I was just standing inside there with these species, and it was so loud to me. After 15 minutes, I felt dizzy and kind of felt sick, like something energy-wise I could not take. What turns out they were really tall.
Mm-hmm. How tall were they?
They were over 7 feet tall, and some even like 10 feet. And all the pioneer species you literally could find there. Japanese knotweed, horseweed, sweet wormwood, mugwort, tree of heaven, black nightshade, Palmer amaranth, white mulberry. It was just incredible, that energy.
Mm-hmm. Now, some scientists debate whether plants are actually self-conscious. Do they have a consciousness? Do they think? Because we actually define both the self and the consciousness based on our human selves and those limitations. Michael Marder explains, the trick is to let go or fix association of the biological, if not physiological, structures and the functions they fulfill, imagining the possibility of seeing and thinking beyond the eye and the brain solely. Maybe once we manage to do so, we may finally become conscious of plant consciousness. But what does mugwort have to think about this? We invite you to close your eyes one more time, and again, listen to the words of mugwort.
Cannot stop, no stopping for me. Being in action, in communication, no other purpose, no academic horseshit, no ideas carved on a herbarium paper. The wind change, I change. Companionship, species being is an all trait inherent in me. Memory is real in me. Storage of previous histories is real. Storage of my own food is real. Be used for food is real. Your fear is real. In your eyes, taller is louder. For us, louder is a dynamic exchange, a wandering underground. I take on to be the community organizer and spread myself over a big field of land. You just try to take it away, put me into the background, call me I'm static. Static heat flows between your gray concrete blocks. Heat, bring it on. Love to be entangled with heat to make new technology. Acid rain, bring it on. Toxic soil, bring it on. Carbon dioxide, in the air, bring it on. I can sense my sister species spreading around the globe. I have no front. I'm a 360, 100 degree of cellular intelligence. We are not the silent witness you make us to be. We are feminine species. Our mood of apparatus is be sensual, be scratchy, be persistent, show up.
You can open your eyes. Thanks, mugwort. So to kind of wrap things up, the emergent Plantocene, is this a new age of plants?
Well, yes, but it has more to do with what Donna Haraway describes, a kind of a recuperation, a new sociality with disturbed landscapes that allows us for new strategies and practices to emerge.
Right, and Robin Wall Kimmerer, she talks about this as kind of restoration, a new kind of reciprocity. In her work with indigenous communities, she talks about how in the West, we don't have the right kind of languages to actually talk about the nuances of plant-human relationships. She even recognizes the feral and the marginal landscapes as having something to teach us too.
But the Plantucene is not only a space of learning from the plants or romanticizing weedy landscapes. It's an emergent space. It exists. It is real. We call it in this moment the web of e-art. Emergent actionism, emergent ruralism, emergent transism, which is important especially as we witness a worldwide phenomenon of plant blindness.
So you're saying we should stop thinking about the Anthropocene altogether, the supposed age of man?
Yes, we need to begin to think about a new way of relating, of taking action, of going beyond truth experiments, and attending to the very real conditions of life in the margins. So instead that we serve me, well, how about I dance for them? So I'm not dancing for you at all. This is the audience now.
And what if I take a moment to just breathe with this plant? What we found time to see, experience, and better understand what plants are telling us in the margins. Despite unprecedented human disturbance and developments all around the city, life is finding a way. And the plants and organisms in the sidewalk cracks, in the tree pits, in the marginal of the marginal actually create complex assemblages of life, new interpretations of survival, and provide us so much wisdom. To close, let's hear some final thoughts from Mugwort. Just one more time, just close your eyes and have a listen.
Bewildering times. In here, the black, dark brown material seems to get looser. A warming sensation. Out there, the black, dark brown material came closer to our roots. A sign for us for slowing down. In here, with you, it seems we have to speed up. We are in transition of transmitting invisible changes. They act as fast as they can, or should we just give up our time and be in your times? Let our leaves fall onto the ground right now, showing to you our naked branches. We are waiting to be transplanted out in the field to allow for our potential of the winter to come. We could be defined out of existence under your decision making. It is time we protest and show up even more resilient. We will not indulge a biological time of being unchangeable. We are not give in to your desire of control. We will stay in our ruralism, a radical embodiment, new times for us.
Wow, thanks, Mugwort. You just open your eyes again. And thanks so much for listening to our EPA field report.
This date, November 17, 2018.
Thanks so much, everybody. Let's pause this.
Yeah, thanks.
Suzanne, yes.